welcome to Tactically Sound with my co-host, JumbyJumbwa. Matt, how are you doing?
Dude, I'm so good. Just came back from a nice vacation and feeling refreshed and excited to talk about more Oblivion with you. What about you? How are you doing?
I'm good. Did you get to play any games while you're on vacation?
Dude, unfortunately, I didn't get a lot of game time, but when I was playing a game, I was on my Switch again because it's portable, and I was playing the new Mario Wonder game. Have you seen that game?
I've seen it. I've not played it, but it looks. I like the animation style and the overall art direction. How did you feel about that?
Oh, it's like my favorite 2D Mario since the original, like Super Nintendo.
Oh wow, that is huge praise.
Yeah, it's huge praise. I know. But I think it's really good. Like you said, the art style, it's fun, it's cute. It's like what I want from Mario. And then also it has like a little bit of that different skill or gameplay than you get from the 3D Mario experience. So it's fun to like just have that. It just looks so good on that OLED Switch, all the bright colors. So I had fun playing that. I didn't really play anything else though. I was really busy.
That's good though. It's good to take a break from gaming so you could appreciate it more, because you don't never want gaming to feel like work. You know, I think for me, I want the audience to believe that I do this because I love it, not because it's like, I gotta slog through the next game, you know? So I'm glad you got to take a break, and I think it'll keep things fresh, keep your perspective.
Totally. It was much needed, because generally when I am at home, like video games is the best way for me to relax or even spend time with friends. It's hard to get together in person these days a lot of the time. So I'm so thankful for this hobby.
Yeah, totally. Well, we've been going through our Oblivion series. Matt and I have never played Oblivion, and we've done a couple episodes so far. Today's episode is probably going to be a little bit of a shorter one because, as Matt said, he's back from vacation, and I wanted to pick something that was bite-sized that we could talk about, share, because it's something that's unique to Oblivion. It's teased a little bit in Starfield, but it's a pretty different system. It's the speechcraft system in Oblivion, and this is a system that I want to say, with my young Oblivion brain, that you could mostly ignore it if you're playing. Like, you might not even see that it exists, which I actually really like about it. It's like you could have a normal conversation and just ignore that little symbol at the bottom of the screen. I had a hard time
finding it. When I was looking around for someone to persuade, I was like, no one wants me to persuade them. What's going on? How do I trigger this? And then finally I noticed with certain people, there was that little icon down there at the bottom, that button. And I finally clicked on it, and then the tutorial popped up. I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. Now I can finally play this game. But at first I was struggling, dude. I was just trying to talk to everyone, and no one wanted to have me persuade them.
I know it is and same with the barter too. Like, the barter button is really hard to find. But what do you think of the speechcraft the first time you interacted with it? Like, were you do you have this mindset of, oh, I think I know what's going on, or were you like, wait, this is way more confusing than I expected?
Okay, so the first time I saw this actually wasn't in the game, right? You texted me that we're going to talk about this, so I had to look up a video, and the first thing I saw was that meme that I sent you of that guy who looks like I forget the name of the actor, but he has very expressive faces, and it's showing the animation, and he's trying to like decide which is the happy and serious and sad, or like, I guess it's, what is it? Like, love, dislike, and hate, right? So he was like flashing between all of them, and it changing this actor's face, and it just kept on flashing between the different expressions, and it was pretty funny. And I was immediately thinking, all right, this is some charm happening right here from Oblivion. I have to like go and try this for myself, because we were talking about how much fun it was to hear the dialogue and the lack of facial expressions. So now we're getting like big facial expressions. and some funny one-liners like, all right, interesting, blow away, windbag, like, it's pretty good. So that's the first experience I have of it. In the game, when I was playing it, I actually found myself enjoying it. Like, it was kind of fun. Remember how I was telling you a couple episodes back when we were talking about, I think it was Fallout, the TV show, Final Fantasy VII, what's the newest one called?
Rebirth?
The newest one that dropped, the second one.
Rebirth, right? No?
Yeah, I think so, something. I can't remember. But anyways, remember how I was saying I love the mini games in that game? I kind of felt some of that magic in this. So I really enjoyed playing with it, and I could see myself spending a long time, like, getting the what's that number called that you're trying to increase their disposition towards you?
Is that what it is?
I think it's your disposition. So I was like, this is fun. I'm like getting more points, more disposition. So I could see myself wanting to get really good at it. And a couple of the tutorials I watched on YouTube, the creators were saying, yeah, it's pretty fun and addicting, and you can get pretty good and fast at it. So have fun.
Yeah, give us a couple tips from. I kind of try to avoid YouTube because I don't want to watch a video and then go, oh, now I can't make that video.
Oh, okay.
What did you think? What did you think of the tips? Like, give us some tips, because I usually go towards like guides or going through like unofficial Elder Scroll pages, and I don't think I have a full grasp on it. And if I really get frustrated, I will end up watching a tutorial. But what are some of the tips they were saying?
Well, I'm not a pro, so take this with a grain of salt. But the first thing that helped me a lot was don't worry about messing up, making a mistake, pressing the wrong, wrong section. I think it's a 4-piece circle. So pressing
Admire,
like love
boast.
instead of hate. Don't worry about this. You want to just kind of figure out how it works, how the rotation of the game works as well. But if I could give some more, I guess, specific advice, is I always try to get the biggest arc, I guess, more filled up circle, right? I don't know what it's technically called, but the more filled up section, I always try to get that on top of their happiest face, right? And then I always try to get the lowest one on the angriest face, right? And when I sometimes when I play, I get lucky, right? And I can trigger the greatest arch to hit all of the correct facial expressions. The last tip that I got, because we have so many different races to persuade, is the Argonians. The happier reaction is when the eyes get bigger, okay? Pay attention to the eyeballs. And when the Khajiit get happier, look at the ears, okay? When they're sad, animal ear goes down, scared, like a dog, right? And when they're happy, whoop, up high, okay? So pay attention to that, or else you're going to be really frustrated and choosing the wrong ones, because the greater the arc in the mood, the space, you're going to get more disposition points for it. So be careful is all I say. That probably wasn't the best explanation. Please go read a guide online. But
right.
I'm a beginner, and I picked up on it this quick and this much information this quick. So I just looked it up today pretty much. So don't stress, like I said in the very beginning. Just have fun with it. Figure out, take your time. It's not a too complicated of a minigame.
Right. So one thing that confuses me is when you're persuading them or whatever, does it matter which one goes last? Like, so is it like, say you give him the weakest one, right? The smallest little load. And then he's like, no, I hate that. And that was the last one. But like, it doesn't actually, yeah, like it doesn't really matter because it was a small, or does it matter how you finish?
So I would say Okay, so it's admire, boast, joke, and coerce. I'm looking at the notes right now.
Yeah, this is from the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages.
Imagine if in admire, boast, joke, and coerce. So imagine if admire, the character you're talking to, doesn't really like it. That's his hate, right? Boast, it's more of a dislike. Joke, imagine more of a like. And then coerce, imagine a big happy face, right? And say it's set up that way. This can be random at any time, right? This is just how this this certain scenario unfolds. And so I have ADHD right now. My brain's already wiping what I'm talking about. The little one, say, is in now admire, okay? It gets a little bit bigger to a medium, is in boast. Joke is going to have even more, and coerce is going to have maximum. That's the starting, all right? Now, it's going to rotate every turn you click on something, right?
And it only goes one direction, right?
It only goes clockwise, okay? So that's another thing to keep in mind. If you click on a little portion, that little portion is going to go to the following section afterwards. So you got to think about that. So if you click on a big section, right, and you also go, oh, likes right after it, right? So say you click on a big section, like the maximum smile, and you see that the next section is like, that's good, because now you're going to have two big full arcs in the highest disposition point possible, right? Now, if you click on it when it's in like, and it goes over to dislike afterwards, the big section, now you're feeling kind of trapped. You're feeling kind of screwed because now you're going to have to click on dislike to accept it. And you're accepting all those subtraction points now, right? So it's tricky. You want to pay attention to that. What remind me of your last little bit of question? I was trying to get to it.
Well, yeah. Does it matter? So we're paying attention then to those disposition points essentially. So
right.
Even if it ends on a sour note, because in order to get the smallest one on the worst reaction, you ended up with that being last, and he seems pissed off. That's a surface level, just NPC.
So what
bark.
I usually do. So, because it's not going to work out perfectly, you're going to sometimes lose points because that's just how the game works. It wants you to lose, right? It doesn't want you to just have an easy time. What I try to do is I look at happy and sad reactions first, and then I look for, in the happy sections, are there any big chunks? Because if there are, I want those. I'm going to click on that, all right? And then I'm going to look on the sad reactions, are there any small chunks? And I'm going to click on those because I don't want a lot of points. And I have to click on everything eventually, right?
Right.
Now, the factor that changes that on each rotation, each turn, is how it goes clockwise, right? And so this is where I guess the learning comes into play. Is when you do this over and over again, you're going to start understanding how these patterns work, just like playing a game like Bejeweled or something, right? It's very difficult for me to explain this in a way that sounds comprehensive over, a podcast. But I hope that helped you a little bit, Spencer.
No, yeah, I think it does. Another thing that confused me, because I'm looking for feedback, right? Like when you play a game of Gwent, take a great RPG minigame,
right.
You know when you've won or lost at the very end.
Right.
With this one, it's a little harder to tell because you could just keep playing and playing and playing.
Right.
And I guess what I understand the core concept that you're describing, but it's the overall wins and losses that I have a hard time keeping track of, which is like, okay, so if I play the game and then I play again with the same person, say I started at 33, I thought that number was the timer. Is that not the timer?
It is. So the disposition points work as a timer as well. The longer you take, the lower it goes down. So that's why it's the incentive to do it fast. And that's why I was trying to say, like try to move as quickly as possible. Don't worry about making mistakes because you're trying to practice also speed, right? And so do it a repetition over and over again. Find the highest arc in the positive, find the lowest arc in the negative reactions, and then where it's varies every round, pay attention to that. Pay attention to how the circle moves, and you'll learn like, oh, when it's set up in this format, my first move should be clicking on the negative, not the positive, right? Or I should click on, I should click on dislike because it has less of an arc of it's not filled up, it's with points, right? So you're going to pick always the best option possible, the lesser of two evils in a way, right?
Right.
And I wonder if maybe you might want to read the perks that you might make the game easier or better with Speechcraft. Do you have those?
Let's take a look. Are you saying you're seeing this in the notes right here?
Yeah, you might have.
Perks.
I think you have.
Yeah,
perks.
so there's a couple things because I wanted to see, as you were saying disposition, I was like, well, let's look up what disposition.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So let's go there, and then we'll do the perks. So
yeah.
They say increasing disposition. So it's not just the mini game, that you can use. And this is why I wanted to choose this, Matt, because I'm like, okay, if we keep playing, I want us to have the right amount of background info to to know what we want to utilize strategically as we're playing this game, right? So,
totally.
So when you said disposition, I was like, okay, let's see what the Elder Scrolls pages say about disposition. So they say disposition is increased by personality, right? So you have a personality, I believe, stat. So you could boost it every 4-point boost in personality increases NPC disposition by 1 point. Joining guilds, that affects your disposition. The Speechcraft mini game can be used to increase disposition, but only up to a predetermined maximum value, depending on your Speechcraft. So maybe that's what I was getting confused by, is maybe I have a really low Speechcraft. So I just keep playing, level up, keep playing, level up. But if my Speechcraft isn't high enough to so your minigame can be used to increase disposition, but only up to a predetermined maximum value depending on your Speechcraft. So if my Speechcraft isn't high enough, then I'm not going to see those results, is kind of how I'm reading this. Now, another system in this is the bribe, and they say the bribe can be used, but they become more expensive and less efficient. So you could just bribe and end the game, and that will mean you have the higher disposition and you have more time, but you want to get out of there as quickly as possible and leave it at that disposition, right?
Right. And
okay, so it's starting to click.
My understanding is disposition, the higher disposition you set in that mini game and then exit, you're going to get more information out of this person. More, right?
That's sick.
And what I'm wondering is like, it makes me wonder, like, is there a guide? There has to be a guide online of how high of disposition you need for specific NPCs. Or I wonder if it's always the same. Is it always like 100? You got to get 100 to have the max information, out of this person. So, yeah, it makes me wonder if there's any players out there who just tries to get max disposition on every single NPC in the game. If you're that guy, please comment below. I gotta hear that story.
They also say that you could, and this is sick. Okay, buying or selling an item or a pack of items, 50 arrows for 2 gold each, worth 100 or more gold, will increase a merchant's disposition by 1 point each time. So, like, you could even buy your way into a better disposition. As you get more famous, your disposition will go up. And see, this is the type of stuff that's fun to know. Like, when you know it makes it more fun because you kind of know the rules of the game. And so this is why also I try, when we're doing these types of series, like I try not to watch too many YouTube videos because part of the fun is like reading. But I like that you watch them. So we're combining two forms of knowledge here to hopefully form one all right player of this game. like Matt's watching the YouTube videos. He doesn't have to worry about making content on this game. This is his content for the game right here. I am diving into the forums and all this stuff. Right. And together it'll enrich both of our playthroughs and maybe the audience's playthrough as they play. And this is what I was telling you last week or the last time, is for me the fun is learning from my friends. Like as much as I can learn from my friends or a manual, that's like the most fun for me. So I like that we have a good mix of information because it feels like we're solving something together.
Totally. And I'm really careful with YouTube too. I'm not trying to like look up like total guides yet.
There does come a point, right, where you're like, I gotta finish this
there
game.
comes a point, like
But
like I usually look up things when I want to dive deeper in my understanding of either a system or a strategy, right? Or I'm stuck. I think that's always like that's something I've always loved about YouTube, is that I can just hop on there and look something up versus remember being a kid and you beg your mom to go buy the guide, you know, because you're stuck in that game for months and it's the only game you got because you can't get a new one. So
that's why I love
like
guides.
That, but yeah.
I love a guide because, and I have my eye on the Prima guide for Oblivion, is because like you can hold it tactically. You could hold it tactically in your hand, and you could control like, oh, I'm not going to look on that page because I don't want to spoil. You know, like there's something more control because I think a great guide is pretty spoiler free. It tells you just enough about the systems, but it doesn't ruin the experience of discovery, right? And it doesn't color. I love the Elder Scrolls pages. It's a website. I'm pretty sure this has been around for forever, but I love it because I don't feel like it colors the game. Like it's not telling you, and this is lame, and this is awesome. It's like you're just getting the manual, so then you can form and share your opinion on the game. So let's keep reading a couple of these because this is actually really fascinating. So as you get more famous, you could become infamous. So famous and infamous. Now NPCs depend on the effect of infamy on NPCs depends upon the NPC's responsibility. Although for most NPCs, infamy decreases disposition, for NPCs with particularly low responsibility, infamy will instead increase disposition. So that's what's crazy about these systems, is like they went crazy with this AI, and it's cool because I think of Oblivion as the Radiant AI game. When Radiant AI is like their system that they use to control, and this is Radiant AI Unleashed. That's what Oblivion is. And so for the future Elder Scrolls, I hope that it's a little bit more subtle and we don't feel like everything's generating on the fly and maybe a little too surface level. But for the sake of when this game came out, there's a fun charm to these weird NPC systems.
There's such a charm. You have to experience it for yourself to really enjoy it. It reminds me of my grandfather, Opa, telling me about his organ and finally getting to listen to it over vacation on the phone. He's like, it's like it's from the heavens. It's beautiful. You're there in heaven, listening to the angels. Listen to this organ. And I'm like, yeah, Opus, I'm sure it's great. But like when I list down and hear it finally on his system, woo, he was not lying. It reminded me of that. This one thing he does is so funny. So he records himself for his notifications instead of like hearing a ringtone or a little ping noise. So like when he gets notified, it's his voice going, "You've been notified."
That's amazing. I've never heard of anyone do that.
Yeah, and then like when I'm calling him, he goes, "It's your grandson, Matthew. He's calling. Pick it up."
So he's like tech savvy. He knows what he's doing with the phone.
Oh yeah, it's so funny. Like that whole time I spent with him was a long organ tutorial, and he burned me a CD that I got to download, so I have the organ, and I think the organ is like 70
Is the organ
gigs,
like
dude.
a virtual instrument, like for a DAW, like?
So yes, yeah. So I don't want to get too into it, but it's people record each note, right, out of an organ, put it all together in a sound bank, right, connect it with their plugin, their organ plugin, and then they have this most epic, real life sounding organ, and then you edit it on top of it, right, with the reverb, whatever you want, couplers, I don't need to get into it, but it's crazy, dude. My Oppa's insane.
Yeah, this is two shows crossing over because I have a show called Mothership Gear, all about music instruments. So you're like doing a Mothership Gear episode right now. I love it. So Oppa has a lot to say, which we love. Yeah, there's also when you're talking to the NPCs, I've noticed they sound like Ron Burgundy. Sometimes it's like, yes, I like that very much, or oh no, I don't like that. And it's like, are these voice actors like messing with us? Like, do they know how funny this sounds? Like, are they in on it, or is someone just there reading lines and going, okay, yes, I like that very much. Yes, I like that very much. Or like,
yeah. I love all the fun of voices. I heard one was like, yeah, I like that a lot. Like, it was like an Argonian or something. It was so fun. I love all the different character voices, their accents. It really just makes their characters, when they look so dead, in my opinion, come to life. And my imagination can then take care of the rest.
So you mentioned perks. So yeah, this is again from the Elder Scroll pages, but a novice can offer bribes to increase a person's disposition. An apprentice can rotate the wheel once for free in the Persuasion minigame. A journeyman's disposition falls 50% slower in the Persuasion minigame. An expert's loss of disposition for hate it results is lowered from negative 150% to negative 100%, and a master's bribe costs half as much. So that's what will happen as you become better at speechcraft, I believe.
Okay. I really like an apprentice can rotate the wheel once for free. I don't think I was able to rotate. If I was, I didn't notice. It might have a low speechcraft, right? But I could see that being so useful, because there's sometimes you get set up with a bad, a bad wheel setup, and nothing is in the right spot, and you don't want to press anything. But if you were able to rotate it once, right, you would have a better starting position. So, nice.
I love it. Well, before we wrap up, I just want to talk, because we haven't been able to talk, and I've been playing a little bit of gameplay stories so far. So today I was doing the speechcraft. I have the video of the birth signs, learning about the birth signs. I've been doing the main quest, and I've been really happy with the main quest so far. I think it's got a built-in intrigue with the Mythic Dawn. I think the story's really interesting. It moves along. So far, I know I'm early, but so far I feel like this is one of the better main quests of a Bethesda game. So as you play more, are you going to keep kind of mainlining the story? Is that your strategy moving forward?
Yes, definitely going to mainline the story unless I start dying a lot.
Right.
And then I'm going to do some side quest stuff and figure out some other things. One thing I was thinking about, and I'm gonna have to play with next time I'm in the game, is I noticed that I could just fast travel everywhere.
That's a critique for me.
Yeah, and I'm starting to not get a sense of the world because I'm fast traveling, and that was something that was really nice about first time playing Skyrim, is not fast traveling and understanding where things are located in relationship to other towns or caves or dungeons, right? I got a sense of the map. Right now, I do not have a sense of the map. I feel like I don't even know where I am in Cyrodiil, even though I do know where we are. We're in the center. But I just don't understand any of these locations. They're all new to me. I might have seen them a little bit in ESO, but even there, I'm not fully understanding the sense of this world. So I'm kind of feeling like I need to, even though the world's not as full or developed as newer titles, I might need to take some time to hop on that horse and just ride to the town.
I recommend it. You'll pick up so many random side quests that are hard to walk away from. I got this one where I won't spoil it, but you meet someone who is paranoid, and you basically this game has a lot of following, follow this person. They do that in Morrowind too, which I always think is funny. But you do a lot of that, and you get a sense for the town and the lore of the town, and you go, wow, if I wasn't traveling by foot and just having the random NPC walk straight up to you and then zoom in and like give you that quest, you miss out on some stuff. And then also just like the monsters and the caves and all that. So I recommend
those buff fairy guys.
The buff fairies, the imps, as they are officially called in the game. Oh yeah, the other funny thing, and not funny but sad, is the sounds of the poor wolves when they get injured is too realistic for my dogs. Mo will text me and be like, "Leave the wolves alone. The dogs are concerned." And I was like, "I'm sorry, they're attacking me."
I'm gonna
cry.
Have to try that out.
Yeah, it could be a vicious wolf that's like lunging at your throat, and it has the most sad puppy whimper. And my dogs do not like that. They look at me like I'm a terrible person when I'm playing. So
another thing that's giving me a little bit of charm, just like the faces and the what is it? The dialogue is gosh, it was just in my head. No, why did it go? Where did you go? It's flying away like one of those buff imps. Oh gosh, what was
charm?
it?
You were talking about the charm. We were talking about the imps, the wolves, the sound effects.
The sound effects, bro. Dang,
I know. It's also the heat. The heat like melts your brain. It definitely melts your brain.
I've been in heat for the last week, and I'm like still recovering.
We were watching Armageddon, and that movie is hilarious. If you've never watched Armageddon, Steve Buscemi plays one of the funniest characters ever in a big blockbuster action movie. It's like this movie is so earnest, but then he'll just say like straight up SNL worthy like comedy lines all throughout, super dry, and it is so good. But
I'm gonna have to. I might have seen Armageddon before. I'm not too sure. Is it like Independence Day?
Kind of. Yeah. It's like a space thing, Alien. But also sci-fi a little bit, but really good. Well, let's call it there. We wanted to keep this episode short because we're getting back into the swing of things. And yeah, I will be playing more Oblivion and have more to report. And I'm sure Matt will have more stories, and you'll probably remember whatever the thing was that the sun eviscerated from our brain cells.
Dude, that's summertime days I got.
Right. Totally. Well, thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe and let us know what you think of the Speechcraft. Give us some tips, or did we butcher our explanations of how this unique game works, or are we kind of on the right track? Let us know. And please subscribe, play along with us, and we will see you guys next time. Later.